Okay, we're in First Samuel. Um, the beginning of First Samuel started sometime in the mid period of Judges, when that was going on, when God was raising up judges. This book is a very good book, especially when it comes to everyday life. A lot of stuff that we go through. But there's a man that lived in Mount Ephraim. His name was Elkanah, and he had two wives. He had Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah didn't have none because she was barren and the Lord had shut her up. So the man would go to Shiloh every year to do his festivals at the house of the Lord, to do his offerings, and he always bring his wife back stuff, but he'd give Hannah more. But while he was gone, his other wife, Peninnah, she would provoke Hannah, and it hurt her spirit, and she wept and didn't eat. And her husband asked her, why do you weep? And why are you not eating? Why is your heart grieved? Ain't I better to you than 10 sons? So she was at the temple with him, and she was in bitterness of soul and prayed to the Lord and wept sore and vowed a vow, told him, if you look upon my affliction and give me a child, that he'll be yours, and no razor shall come upon his head, which that would make him a Nazarite. And the priest Eli, now he's a mystery to me because I'm not sure where he came from, whose his ancestors are, and all that. It's not clear of who he. I'm sure he's of the tribe of Levi because he's a priest. But he saw her and he says, "How long will you be drunk?" And tell her to put the wine. And she told him, "I'm not drunk. I got a sorrowful spirit. I'm pouring out my soul before the Lord." So he told her, "Go in peace, and God will grant your petition." And so she went away, and she was happy. And then now she had a son. She got pregnant. His name was Samuel, and she dedicated him to the priests after she healed, of course, because he couldn't go to the house of the Lord if you had a child, because you was unclean until you healed and weaned the child. So she made an offering, left him there, and she would visit him yearly, give him a coat and all that same. Chapter 2 is her song, which you should read chapter 2 because it praises the Lord a lot and describes the Lord. Now, Eli's sons were wicked. They knew not the Lord, but yet they served in the office, in the priests. They would eat the offerings with blood. They ate it raw. They had sex with the women that was at the congregation and stuff. Man, they was just some wicked dudes. Now, Samuel grew and was in favor both with the Lord and with the men. So everybody liked him. And then there came a man of God unto Eli and basically told him from them, his sons being wicked, the days will come that I'll cut off thine arm in the arm of thy father's house, that there shall not be an old man in thine house. He's going to kill his sons. He told them on one day their sons will die the same day. And he'll raise up a priest that will do according to that which is in his heart and in his mind. And he'll build him a sure house, and he shall walk before mine anointed forever. So Samuel ministered to the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days, and there was no open vision. Think about that. It is precious. It's rare. it was appreciated. You know, and you look today, a lot is just a joke and a mockery. People make fun of it. Christians are a joke in people's eyes. Their views are a joke in people's eyes. The Bible's a joke in the world's eyes today. I mean, you look at all what's going on with the country and government and stuff, and all these things they're having to vote for. You know, gun control, gay rights. I mean, it's very controversial. And it's crazy. And the thing is, the word of the Lord isn't precious in these days that we're in. So Eli was starting to get blind. And he was asleep, and the Lord called Samuel. And he ran to Eli and said, "Here am I. Did you call me?" He said, "No, I didn't call you." So that happened 2 or 3 times, and then finally Eli told him. Eli perceived that the Lord was calling Samuel. Then he told him, if the Lord comes again, just say, "Here am I. Speak, for your servant hears." So the Lord spoke to Samuel and told him what was going to happen to Eli's house and to his sons. And then Eli asked Samuel what happened, and Samuel told him everything. And Eli knew it was from the Lord. So now there's a war. The Israel and the Philistines. And the people went and got the Ark of the Covenant. And Israel shouted, and the earth rang, and the Philistines heard the noise of the shout. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, "God is come into the camp." And he said, "Woe unto us, there hath not been such a thing heretofore." Because they remember and know what God did to the Egyptians, and they were afraid. But they got themselves together, and they went and fought, and they beat Israel, and they fled to their tents, and the Ark of the Covenant was taken, and the 2 sons of Eli were killed. So a man ran from the camp and told Eli. He was 99 years old, and his eyes were dim, and he couldn't see. And he told him his sons were killed, and the ark was taken. And Israel fled before the Philistines, and there's been a great slaughter among the people. And when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off his seat backwards and brake his neck, and he died. For he's an old and heavy man, and he had judged Israel for 40 days. Now the daughter-in-law of Eli heard that Phinehas had died, and she had a son. His name was Ichabod. So now the ark's gone. The Philistines have it, and they put it in their temple by their god Dagon. They woke up in the morning, and his statue fell down. So they put it back up. The next day it fell down, and his head and palms were cut off from upon him. And then they started getting emerods, tumors, and bulls and stuff. So they took it somewhere else to another people, and they started getting things happening to them. So they inquired of their diviners, and they told them, take it back to them, but send an offering with it, a trespass offering, to clear you from your trespass against God, so he'll remove these plagues from you. So they did that. They took it back to some people, and then they looked into it, and they died. I mean, it's crazy. And then so trying to see who got it. Somebody else got the ark, and they kept it and was consecrated. And looked over the ark. I don't see it. It should have just popped up. Eleazar. Yes. They came and got it, and then he kept it, and it was... Yeah. So Eleazar got the ark of the men of Kirjath Jearim, wherever that is at. I don't... Okay. So the ark was not returned to Shiloh, to the house of the Lord. It was at somebody else's house. So Samuel spake to the people, if you will return to the Lord with all your hearts, and put away your strange god, and serve him only, he'll deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. So they all gathered together at Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted that day, and said, we have sinned against the Lord. Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. Philistines heard days all together, so they ran to him, and the children of Israel began to cry. And Samuel told them, the Lord is for us, and will save us out of the hands of the Philistines. So Samuel offered a burnt offering, and the Lord made it thunder with a great thunder, and the Philistines were discomforted, and they were smitten before the Lord. And then the men of Israel pursued after the rest of them. And they were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. The cities that they took from Israel were restored to Israel. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. So now Samuel's getting old, and he made his sons judges over Israel. And they were corrupt, perverse. They took bribes and perverted judgments. And the people went to Samuel and told him, you're old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. And it displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord told him, do what they say. They've not rejected you, but they've rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all they've done since Egypt, they've all forsaken me and served other gods. So they do unto thee. Now, let them have a king, basically. So Samuel told him what kind of king and what would happen. He'd take your kids and make them soldiers, and take your vineyards and your fields. Take 1/10 of your seed and of your vineyards to give for his officers and for his servants. You'll take your servants and your men. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, said, nay, but we'll have a king over us that will be like all the other nations, and our kings may judge us and go out for us and fight our battles. So Samuel has to choose a king. See, the thing is, they wanted a nation, because Israel was basically like before you got the separation of church and state and all that. They was basically church and didn't have a state. Like, they was just religious. I mean, not religious, but ruled by God, and judges who God appointed over them. Like a church ruling a nation rather than the government ruling a nation. See, now they wanted the government, and they're getting to where they're having a kingdom and a government. So there's a man of Benjamin named Saul, a choice young man and a goodly, and there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. And he was tall, and he lost his father's sheep, and he was going to find them. So he inquired to find a seer, which was a prophet, but they were called seers. So he met Samuel, and basically Samuel told him, you're going to be the king of Israel. And so Samuel basically told Saul, you'll be the king of Israel. And what got me was after he got done talking to Saul, Samuel's telling him, you'll go down and you'll be among prophets and you'll prophesy and all that. And verse 9 of chapter 10 says, and it was so, and when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart. And all the signs came to pass that day. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he started prophesying. And people saying, is Saul among the prophets? The thing that got me is God gave him another heart. Okay, Saul was a good kid. I mean, a good kid. Better than any of the kids. And then God gave him a good heart, a new heart. He changed him. He had the Spirit of God on him, and he prophesied. So he's chosen king. And now, the Ammonites come against some of the children of Israel and told them, the children of Israel said, make a covenant with us and we'll serve you. And they told him, we'll make a covenant with you if we can thrust all your right eyes out and lay it for reproach upon the children of Israel. So they told Saul, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he was mad. So they went to war and beat the Ammonites. Then Samuel reminds them to turn to the Lord, follow him. And the king would follow the Lord. And he told him, I've not done you wrong, ever. And they said, no, you haven't, and all that. And he told them, you've sinned a great sin for wanting a king, and for turning to other gods and all that. And they told them if they've sinned, then God will make it thunder. And it thundered real hard in the rain, and they got scared and feared and was praying and crying and asking for the forgiveness for their sins and their evil. So now, it's been a year since Saul's been the king. And a lot's changed from him being a goodly child and having a changed heart. This shows even if you do get saved and you have a changed heart, you're going to fall. You're going to turn. Because Saul had a changed heart now, and the Spirit of God is on him and he prophesied. But yet, he's fixing to go to war with the Philistines. Now, before they go to war, they always have a priest there making a burnt offering, inquiring of the Lord. Saul didn't have time for that. He made the offering himself. He killed the offering himself and offered it before the Lord and didn't wait on Samuel. And Samuel told him, you've done foolishly, You do not kept the commandment of the Lord. For now the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever, but now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord hath sought a man after his own heart, and the Lord hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. Samuel didn't care. He didn't even say nothing about it. He rose up and went on. And his son went out to fight. And let's see, where am I at here now? Yeah, they was going to fight. And so Jonathan, his son, went out. He went on out without telling his father, and they fought and killed about 20 people, and the Lord delivered them to their hands. And they saw the people running, and so they went after them again. And then that day, Saul told him, cursed be the man that eateth any food until the evening, that I may be avenged of my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food, so they were hungry and tired. But his son Jonathan didn't know, and he ate some honey off of the end of his stick or spear or whatever. And people tell him, your dad said we ain't supposed to eat nothing. And they kept on fighting. And the people flew upon the spoil if they fought and was eating them animals raw, killing them and eating them. And Saul heard it, so they went and they fought and killed the people. Saul built an altar there. And then they drawed near to God and asked counsel of God and asked if they should go down to the Philistines. And all that. And then they cast lots, and he asked Jonathan, what'd you do? And he told him, I ate some honey. And Saul was going to kill him for eating the honey, his own son. And the people saved Jonathan from Saul killing him that day. So then they went out and smote the Amalekites.